Okay, Carl, one last thing before we close this out. One of the things that I've seen through this 100 days of soldiering with your managers is that you've created a group of much more intelligent business people. They know each other's businesses, but I've also seen a change in them from a healthy way of life that has been infused into them. I know it comes from your passion now of living a healthy way of life as well. And you created something around this Thursday workout, team workout, that is open for all employees. It's just open for employees only. And you guys do a variety of things. And how that's infused your team around what Brahm's concept is of living a healthy way of life. And I've seen you get on your managers in there, in your meetings, and what their expectation is.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'll tell you from the time I interviewed. I went up and interviewed with Jay-Z and with Jess and obviously with you. And when I walked out of Jess's office, I knew that I had answered the questions right. I knew I had the background to do the job. But Jess asked me a question at the end that really kind of haunted me a little bit, and it was a simple question. He said, Karl, I've got your past, I understand it. Tell me what you're doing to live a healthy way of life. And that question kind of haunted me because I didn't have an answer. And you and I knew that as I was going up to interview, that was going to be a real tough point. So I will tell you, on the plane ride home, I made up my mind that it wasn't about this job at all. It wasn't about being a general manager. It wasn't about working for Lifetime Fitness. It was about changing my life for my kids and my wife. And I tell people that to this day that I've been blessed by a lot of people. I've worked with some of the best leaders in the world. I've owned my own company. And you know what? The biggest event in my life was my wife. The second biggest event was my kids. The third biggest wasn't that Barry McCaffrey or General Petraeus was my boss of the Bronze Star. That's not my third biggest. The third biggest event that ever happened in my life was honestly that somebody said, dude, you got to start living a healthy way of life. And I dropped 65 pounds, I'm over 65 pounds now, and it was the third biggest decision, or the third best thing that ever happened to me was, like I said, not this job. It was the fact that this company changed my life. I'm a better dad, I'm a better husband, I'm a better person, I'm a better leader because of that. So I'm very passionate about it, and I will tell you that 5 a.m. workouts with you has, no, they weren't fun, but to me that was part of soldiering. That was the soldiering for me, was every day for 3 months, it was 5 a.m. in the morning working out with you. And you know what, I did this thing, I call it the Lifetime Fitness way. You know, I started with a nutritionist, and she told me what I was doing wrong. She gave me the education that I needed, and then obviously that was backed up with personal training. So it's the stool, if you would, that we talk about here at Lifetime, and it's the Lifetime Fitness way that you know, I did the fit point, I did the cardio point, I did the calorie point, and I totally believe without those I never would have been able to achieve those goals. All the work, you know, it's all part of this process. So that's where I get my passion about it. We created this thing called a team workout, and it's totally around a healthy way of life. So every Thursday at 3 o'clock we pick an activity, and we can be in either the group studios, or we could be out on, the advanced training floor. We could even be down on the basketball court. But we're doing an activity as a group, and this is not just managers. These are team members, and it's the healthy way of life. How can we work for a healthy way of life company and be ambassadors when we're not living it ourselves? So now on Thursdays, you'll see people at 3 o'clock start coming together for their workout. And that's actually ran through our group fitness. They pick every Thursday what we're going to do. We put it out in the Huddle so people know, and they'll get it out to their team members. And that has totally made a change. Well, here about 3 weeks ago, you talk about accountability, one of the department heads said, "Karl, we're doing this once a week." She said, "I'd like to challenge everyone that we up this to 3 times a week." And so we actually put out a little thing amongst the leaders, and we said, you know what, she got a great point. So now I've got all the department heads that have committed, and we track it. I totally believe it's all about tracking, that people are working out at a minimum of 3 days a week. 2 of them are inside this club. So they basically come into the Huddle and say they did the workout, they didn't work out, and we track it. Now, is it mandatory for this? Absolutely not. But what we have found is that we've got 100% participation from our department heads. And our department heads are working out 3 days a week. 2 of them are in the club here. And really, probably 75–80% of the department heads are 4 and 5 days a week now. And it's just because we're keeping it in front of them. We're talking about it every day. We're talking about a healthy way of life. We're talking about being ambassadors to the company. We're talking about what it means to work for a healthy way of life company. And these guys are bought in. I'll end with one thing, D. With this, I totally believe it's called the who before the what. If you try to put together a system, you call it 100 days, you call it the matrix, we'll call it whatever system you want. When you try to put together something and you don't have the who first, it'll fail. Because it's not about the what, it's about the who. And the who are the leaders, are our department heads, it's the general managers. So this entire process of the Huddle, living a healthy way of life, all starts with the who. You got to have the who before the what. And I'll tell you that when I came into Cary, the who wasn't established. And it was my job as the general manager to put the who there and to get leaders rallied around what we're doing. And to be honest, this is the harsh part of business. If they didn't want to be rallied around it, then I didn't have a place for them on this team. And that's tough, especially when you may be a leader and you've worked with these people for years. But you know what? Maybe it's time to look and see if they're the who that really needs to be on the team to take this company, to take your club to the next level. And that's hard. That's hard for a leader because you build a relationship with them. So my challenge is to people, in order to do this process, any process, to make people better, figure out the who, get the who first, and become leaders, and that'll drive your what. And I don't care if it's a healthy way of life. I don't care if it's driving a sales number. Leaders do that. Leaders make change. And I'm convinced that I've got the best group of leaders here in Cary, and I'll fight with these guys any day. And they know that I'll fight for them. I'll fall on my sword for them. And that's the type of culture. We completely have had a culture change here in Cary. And it's not just me. I've grown so much here as a leader myself, from you, from the people that have come into the club and talked to me about ways we can make this club better. I've grown from my department. I've grown from my team leaders, and listener from the team members. And you know what? That's what we're looking for. That's what creates engagement. That's what creates these dream teams that You can't have an engaged member if you don't have an engaged team member. You can't have an engaged team member if you don't have an engaged leader, department head. You can't have an engaged department head if you don't have an engaged general manager. And that goes all the way up. So the question is, it starts with the CEO and goes all the way, it actually goes all the way down. And you'll find where companies fail is where the leader stops being engaged. That's about as simple as I can put it.
Well, fantastic, Karl. When you talk about when culture and change meet head to head, culture wins every time. It's the leader that has to invoke the change to change the culture. And I will say you have been that leader that has changed that culture here at Lifetime Fitness and here in the Cary location. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.